It is absolutely hot right now, and I refuse to close the window. So if you hear planes, buses, cars, and maybe a piano, don't blame me, that's just the rhythm of the city. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Grace, and I am officially a college graduate. So if you were wondering, oh no, why isn't Grace's April wrap-up video here yet? Well, I'm giving it to you now at the end of May because I was so busy for the month of April and May that I was, wrapping up the end of the year, finishing up last minute projects, last minute assignments. I was the head fiction editor of my literary magazine, my college's literary magazine at mine. And so that was just a big old mess towards the end. But we're finally done, and I'm a college graduate now, which is really wild because I spent the last 3 semesters at home, alone, listening to all my teachers and peers on Zoom for the last 14 months. Give it up for month 14. Let me show you. This is my cap. I'm a burnt out rat. I was supposed to go to Australia for a study abroad program. That's why a kangaroo's here. But it got canceled twice. So before I devolve into existential dread about what to do with the rest of my life, let's talk about some of the books that I read in April. In May. Okay, so remember when I said I was gonna read more books? I read books. But oh no, guess what? Oh no, do you hear the sound of my voice? It was all manga again. Remember in March, I talked about how I was trying to find the other volumes of Chainsaw Man, but they were sold out everywhere, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna shell out $2 a month so I can read manga on the Shonen Jump app. And then I read way too much manga on the Shonen Jump app. So this pile of books, that's not even all that I read. If I were to get a real physical pile of all the manga that I read in April, it would have been much longer because I read, oh my god, we'll get to it. Anyway, so the first manga that I read in the month of April is Wotakoi, Love is Hard for Otaku. So this manga has been around for a while. It's a realistic romance fiction manga about a group of office workers who are trying to figure out romance. At the same time, they're all otakus, meaning they all are into anime and cosplay and all that good stuff. Every volume is a bit of a hit or miss for me because they like to use the same jokes a lot, and I'm like, okay, this is the same joke that you made the last 2 volumes. But this one was really cute because you get more development on certain relationships. And especially with these two, you'll see more why if you read the manga. And I think this is just really cute. Like I said, some of the jokes are a hit or a miss, but some of them are hits, and it's still really relatable in terms of nerd culture and trying to be a nerd interacting with other nerds. I definitely recommend this. And if you have Amazon, I believe, if you have Amazon Prime, the anime is on Amazon Prime, and I think it's really, really cute. So definitely go for it. The next manga that I read, and that I ended up reading all of it in the Shonen Jump app, Jujutsu Kaisen, the manga that everyone and their mother read, and the anime that everyone and their mother watched. So for those of you who don't know and or are living under a rock, the story follows Itadori Yuji as he teams up with a group of Jujutsu sorcerers who go around to exorcise demons. Basically, they're curses made up of negative human emotions, and Yuji has to eat all 20 fingers of the cursed king Sukuna, or else if the fingers fall into the wrong hands, they can exponentially power up curses and destroy the world. If you were into Inuyasha, the fingers are basically the Shikan jewel, and Itadori is Kagome. I guess that makes Megumi Inuyasha. So this manga is still ongoing. I caught up to it on the Shonen Jump manga and the manga app. I think this is an amazing shonen action series. I was so hooked when we got to the Shibuya incident arc. I love all the characters. I love Megumi, I love Gojo, I love Nobara, I love Maki. And if you haven't seen the anime, like, what are you doing? It's such a cool anime, amazing animation, and it just hooks you in at every episode. I can't wait for season 2. The storyline is getting more complicated now, but for the most part, I think this is very easy to follow. It hits all the usual shonen manga tropes, but honestly, it still feels fresh. It still feels unique. Like who cares if you hit the same tropes? Like, it's still, like, what makes it unique is how you do it, and I think that really shows in Gaga Akatami's Gege? Chinese, Japanese, do not at me. It really shows in this author's work, so definitely highly recommend Jujutsu Kaisen. And speaking of shonen manga, I caught up with Chainsaw Man on the Shonen Jump app as well. I also thought it was really amazing. I kind of lost like where the plot was going in like the later half. For the most part, like, I really love the art style and I love the action sequences. I did get kind of lost with the story. The very ending was like interesting, but also like, we still don't know like a lot of like, I guess the questions that are still left unanswered in part 1 are still unanswered, so I hope they get answered soon in part 2. But for the most part, I really enjoyed the direction that the story went. Like, my heart went out to all of the characters. I absolutely love them all, and like I said, the art style, like, it just makes you keep reading. And the anime is coming out. I don't know exactly when, but there is an anime in the works. I believe it's done by Mappa, and I believe Mappa... Did Mappa also do Jujutsu Kaisen? Well, either way, like, if I'm remembering correctly, Mappa is like churning them out like a powerhouse factory. It's like really exciting, but also really concerning at the same time, because like, if you don't know, like, Japanese animators are severely overworked and grossly underpaid. So it's like, what is the cost of the content we're getting? So moving on away from the shonen and into the wholesome, I read Satoko and Nada by Yupechika. And this is a super cute, super wholesome manga about a Japanese exchange student and a Saudi Arabian exchange student living as roommates together in America. It's mostly like, you know, cute little vignettes about the story of like their lives together and having a cultural exchange in America, as well as sharing their own culture about Japan and Saudi Arabia. Like, overall, this is just a really sweet story about friendship, about like cultural exchange, and about like how, you know, cultures are different, they have their flaws, but they still have such rich histories, such unique differences. And I think this just really goes to show like that diversity is a strength. It's not a hindrance, it's not a liability, it's not gonna like make you lose out on anything. If anything, like, you learn more when you interact with people who are different than you. So that's why I really love Satoko and Nada. They are such good friends, they like share everything together, they become so close, and then when you get to the end, it's just so wholesome and so sweet. And it's just like goes to show that like friendships can be made anywhere and with anyone. So I highly recommend this manga if you manage to get your hands on it. So the next manga that I read, you've probably seen it if you have a Netflix account, and that is Way of the Househusband by Kosuke Ono. So this is a story about a ex-Yakuza member turned house husband, and this is a comedy manga about like his everyday life, trying to be a good house husband, but while also reconciling with his Yakuza past as well as his Yakuza looks, which makes for hilarious comedy. It is so funny. The comedic timing is like on point. I cannot recommend this manga enough. And the anime recently came out on Netflix back in April. I did watch it because it was only 6 episodes long, I believe. The anime really is like just like an animated manga. it's not an anime, it's just, you know, it's like reading a manga with color and voice acting. I read somewhere that that was the way it was intended, that that's the way that the mangaka wanted it, and that's the way it was advertised in Japan. So in Japan, everyone is happy with it, but here in like the West in America, like we were expecting like an anime. Like, yeah, I mean, overall, like I am a bit peeved as well, because I was like, well, I can just keep reading the manga because the manga is great. I personally liked the live action, the live action version of Way of the House Husband, because I think it also gets the comedic timing right, and I really liked the addition of the daughter character, because there is no daughter in the manga. Even still, like they did change some stuff, but ultimately like comedic the comedic style is still there with this. We have like a scary looking guy, but he's really just sweet inside and wants to take care of his family and is like kind of goofy doing it. Overall, like I recommend the manga a little bit more, but if you find yourself more of like a live action watcher or an anime watcher, then like, you know, you can definitely start with the anime or the live action as well. But, you know, Way of the House Husband is so funny, it is so hilarious, and the comedy is just so on point. So I definitely highly recommend this manga as well. So the next manga that I read is called Love Me for Who I Am by Kata Koneyama. And so far there are 2 volumes released in English, and this manga follows a non-binary character named Mogumo who joins this cafe for otokonoko, which means there's a helicopter. Otokonoko does not mean there's a helicopter. Mogumo joins this cafe for otokonoko, which means young boys dressing up as cute girls. But Mogumo does not identify as a girl, Mogumo does not identify as a boy, so they are trying to figure out their gender identity, how they fit in with this cafe and all the other workers there, as well as dealing with a crush on their classmate who also has to reconcile with Mogumo's friend, who also has a kind of a crush on Mogumo as well. And overall, like, I had some trouble, I guess you could say, because the thing is I'm non-binary, but I had a little trouble relating to this manga. Honestly, I think it's because the language around non-binary and like genderqueer, like genders, non-conforming, all the like all the non-binary genders that fall into that umbrella. Like the language is just different around it in Japan rather than here in America, here in the West. So that kind of reflects here, I guess. So I was having a little trouble with that. But I found it a little bit like easier to relate to in the second volume because like there's some messy drama, there's like conversations around like, you know, what else is gendered. Like it's all very like simple conversations about like, you know, like what kind of clothes should you be interested in rather than like, well, why not just wear the clothes that you are interested in. So I thought that this was still really cute. Like, oh, like for the most part, these are like still really young high school characters, so they're, you know, still having like beginning conversations of trying to figure themselves out. Honestly, like this is still a super cute manga. The art style is so cute. Like look at Mogumo right here. I want to eat them up. That's how cute they are. And so like definitely I'm gonna keep an eye out for this manga, and I definitely recommend that if you are interested as well, like definitely go for it. So since I have the Shonen Jump manga app, I was like, well, if I'm gonna be paying $2 a month for this, then I better read as much manga as I can. And I finished a whole series on the app, and that was Hikaru no Go by Yumi Hota and Takashi Obata. And so if any of you know about Hikaru no Go, this is a classic manga that ran from 1999 to 2003, and it's a shonen manga that follows a young boy named Hikaru when he is possessed by a ghost, Fujiwara no Sai, who used to be the Go instructor for the Emperor back in the Heian era. So this is, yeah, when we talk about sports anime, Hikaru no Go is one of, I guess you can say, I don't want to say ancestors, because 1999 wasn't that long ago. I say not that long ago, and then I was born in 1999, and now I'm 22, and 22 years is a long time. But anyway, Hikaru no Go is like one of the classic shonen like sports manga. We follow, basically Go is a Japanese game similar to chess, but not exactly. I read the whole manga, the whole series, and I still don't really understand how Go works. So Hikaru is possessed by this ghost, and this ghost really wants to play Go. And so Hikaru is like, you know what, fine, let's just play Go as long as you help me with my history homework. And he inadvertently ends up beating the youngest champion ever, Akira Toya, in a game. And Akira Toya is like, who is this kid that just beat me? I have to find him. And so eventually Hikaru gets roped into the world of Go, and 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 the rest is history. So like one of the really like great things about this manga is that you don't really need to understand the game of Go in order to understand the story, because the story, oh my god, I'm so sweaty. Oh my god. My head is like a marble. So you don't really need to understand the game of Go. It's really like the characters that shine through. It's the story that shines through, and especially is reflected in the game as well. How they play it like really is a reflection on their characters and how they interact with each other. And I absolutely love all the characters. I love Hikaru, I love Akira, and I love Sai. And even all of the supporting casts get their own spotlight. I think another thing that I also really like about this manga is that you follow Hikaru and the characters from middle school throughout high school. So I think they start at around 12, 13 and they grow up to 16. So you really get to see the development of like physical development too. Because Takashi Obata also did Death Note, you can definitely see how his art evolved from the early stages of Hikaru no Go into the later stages, and how you can see, oh yeah, you can definitely see like this is the same guy who drew Death Note, especially towards the end. I absolutely loved it. So like I said, like Hikaru no Go is like one of the classic shonen manga. It's one of the classic sports manga as well. So I think like if you find yourself with Hikaru no Go in any format, then I definitely recommend you take a look, try it out. Even I watched the first episode of the anime as well, and I thought it was, I mean, I already know what's gonna happen, so I don't really feel the need to watch the anime. But if you happen to have, I think, Crunchyroll, then like I definitely recommend checking out Hikaru no Go because it's a classic. I loved it. Definitely 100% recommend. And so the last manga that I read, but not the last book that I read, is Hell's Paradise by Yuji Kaku. I'm dealing with like the dark shonen trifecta of Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, and now Hell's Paradise. This Hell's Paradise is another dark shonen action manga following Gabimaru the Hollow, a exiled ninja who is trying to go back home to his wife. So in order to do that, he has to accomplish the mission of trying to find the elixir of life on this hellish island called Shinsenkyo. And on this island, it looks beautiful, but there are dangerous monsters lurking within, and that is why Gabimaru, as well as a bunch of other criminals, are sent to basically a suicide mission to try and find this elixir of life and get their sentences lifted. Overall, this is still, I've only managed to read the first volume because unfortunately this is not on the Shonen Jump manga app. However, the art style is still really cool. I believe Yuji Kaku was an assistant to the author of Chainsaw Man, so definitely you see a lot of influences there. And overall, like, I love the characters of Gabimaru as well as Yamada, who is the executioner, basically sent as his handler. Every criminal on this island has a handler who, if they break the rules, they will get immediately executed. You know what I mean. I'm a creative writing major. Since I'm still in the first volume, I'm still kind of learning more about it. I am really curious about what happens next, but overall, like, there's a lot of shocking stuff that happens in the first volume alone. I don't know, like, a bit of a spoiler alert, but they kill off some characters that I thought were cool, and I'm like, damn, I thought you were gonna expand on those characters, but you killed them. So I'm a little bit like, but overall, like, the art style is still really beautiful, and you got some really interesting characters, and I really can't wait to see how all the relationships will work out. Especially, we don't just have the criminals, we have their handlers, we have the executioners. So I wonder how all of their relationships will reconcile with each other, how they'll interact. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for the next couple of volumes. We'll see how that goes. But definitely, if this sounds like your cup of tea, then I definitely recommend. If you like Jujutsu Kaisen, if you like Chainsaw Man, then you like complete the trifecta. Try out Hell's Paradise, okay? Don't worry, guys. I still read books. And a book, I only read 2. But a book that I read for the month of April is, speaking of classics, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. I had to read this for my alternate worlds class. Did I understand this book? I don't really know. Did I understand what happened? I don't really know. Did I watch the movie with Harrison Ford? Yes, I did. Do I understand how they connect? Maybe. Where did the aluminum foil unicorn come from? I still don't know. So real quick, in the climate ruined future in which humans have left Earth and have traveled to Mars, a bounty hunter who lives on Earth named Rick Deckard is assigned to kill 6 androids who have escaped from Mars and are currently living in disguise as humans on Earth, which is illegal. So this book talks about sort of the advancement of AI technology. Will there ever be a point in which AI will be indistinguishable from the human brain? Can androids truly empathize with human and human emotions? So there's a lot of questions about empathy, about humanhood, about personhood, about the right to live, who or what gets the right to live. It packs a lot in here. Did I really understand it? I mean, no. I didn't really understand the movie either. But I mean, I get it. I mean, even though I don't really understand, like, the plot, so to speak, I still understand the themes it's trying to tackle. If you're a fan of sci-fi in general, then, like, I do definitely, like, recommend reading this book because I think it's considered, like, one of the classic sci-fi books to read. And overall, it is pretty short. So, you know, give this a go if it sounds interesting to you. Because, like, I think definitely this is sort of the... I don't want to say this is the first to tackle like the question of AI, but I think it's definitely one of the most popular and one of the most well known. So the last book that I read for the month of April was Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. This was also another book that I had to read for my alternate worlds class. Don't tell my professor, I actually didn't finish it in time for the last class, but I did finish it and I really enjoyed it. This follows a young woman named Maggie in a post-apocalyptic America in which all of it has been flooded save for the Navajo lands, and the monsters and heroes of Navajo mythology come to life. So Maggie is a monster hunter, a feared and well-known monster hunter, but who is dealing with the aftermath of the disappearance of her mentor as well as the death of her grandmother when she was a young girl. But she meets a young man named Kai, and together they try to solve the mystery of these new monsters that are being created by a witch. And in our class we talked about trauma and how Maggie is dealing with her own forms of trauma. Definitely, I think when you sit down to think about it, the trauma and how trauma is presented, as well as PTSD is presented in Maggie, I think is really strong here, especially when you read the beginning. This isn't as well, since this is the beginning, it's not really a spoiler, but in the beginning Maggie is fighting a monster and she trying to save a little girl, but the little girl is gravely injured, and Maggie tells her, if you survive this, if you manage to survive this, like, this monstrous energy has taken a hold on you. You will never be the same. You can try to explain this to your friends and family, but they will never understand. And maybe they'll try to make you feel better, but they'll never understand. And this will eat its way inside of you for the rest of your life. It will stick with you forever. Reading it, you know, like, it's the same language used for, like, victims of trauma. Like, if it was, like, an assault or a accident, a tragic accident, like, you can try to explain that the trauma to your friends and family, but it will always stick with you, even if it's small, even if it's big. Like, it will always stick with you, and like, maybe like nobody will ever truly understand what's like to have this sort of trauma. So I was like reading this and I was like, Maggie Please talk to someone. So yes, definitely Maggie is dealing with PTSD. She is dealing with she's prickly, she is bad with social situations, she can't really hold a relationship, she'd rather be alone. And I'm like, Maggie, you are dealing with PTSD. This is still a really cool novel because you got, as well as, you know, a lot of action, a lot of new and interesting mythology that I learned personally, that I learned a lot about Navajo mythology. And I am definitely going to be reading the sequel. I'm definitely going to be checking out Rebecca Roanhorse's other works. And so if that sounds really interesting to you, then definitely check it out. I definitely recommend Trail of Lightning, like seriously. So those are the books that I read for the month of April. My face is so shiny right now, I might as well be a hard-boiled egg. This video was kind of a rush and I talk about a lot of manga, but honestly, like, all these manga is really good and definitely very varied in genre and varied in style and tone. I'm definitely going to be doing another wrap-up video soon for the month of May. I keep starting books and then I keep starting new books and then I keep ordering books from the library because I'm impulsive that way. But I definitely have some books to talk about for the month of May. It's gonna be a doozy. I'm gonna need a couple of cups of water. Please hydrate. Anyway, my foot's falling asleep, so I'm gonna go, like, see myself out and try to learn and try to teach myself Da Vinci. Please let me know in the comments what books that you read in April, even though it's May. If you have any thoughts of the books and manga that I read, definitely put it down in the comments as well. And I hope that you stay cool for the summer. I hope you stay hydrated for the summer. I hope you got vaccinated like I did. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this. I have to believe that. Kiss your fandom friends. Good night. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, please drink some water. Okay, bye-bye.